Welcome to The Soft Life with me, Candy Washington, where we explore all things self-love, manifestations, and relationships with a cheeky dash of pop culture news. So be sure to subscribe, share, and join us on Patreon. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Soft Life, which used to be Sugar Pills, but we've rebranded, guys. So welcome back to The Soft Life with me, Candy Washington, and as always, I cannot wait to help you lead a more joyful life. So before we dive into today's episode, which will be a very enlightening, fun, inspiring conversation, remember that if you need extra support, we have our Patreon community. We have a lot of support there with bonus content and extra goodies. We also have our courses, Manifest Your Dream Life Through Self-Love and the Art of Self-Love Masterclass, along with other courses. And we also have our Journey to Self-Love Journal and our free newsletter, and you get a free self-love guide. So with that, let's dive right on in. So welcome, everyone. I have with me the very powerful and very inspiring Taneshia Johnson. So if you guys are not familiar with her, she is a social worker and community advocate. She has worked with people of all economic statuses and cultures for over 18 years. She provides transformational coaching services and events to heal codependency and to unlock the power of self-care regardless of race, gender, or culture. So welcome, Taneshias. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for, allowing me to be here and having this conversation today.
Yes, thank you. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself, and then how did you find your way into the work that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started off like really in social work. I've been a social worker for 21 years now. And about 10 years ago, I realized that I was struggling with some depression. And I went to a therapist, and the therapist like informed me after a few sessions that she really felt like I was possibly codependent. And I had no idea like what codependency meant, or what it was, or anything like that. I didn't even have an idea about what it looked like to set boundaries, or say no. And so I started attending a 12-step group, a codependent anonymous group. They're called CODA groups. And I realized that, yeah, I definitely, definitely need to be here. And so from there on, I've been on this journey of defining who I am outside of my people pleasing ways, and like learning how to find my own light within myself. And about 5 years ago, I decided that, I really felt good, and I felt like I wanted to do something for me. And I've always been a writer. I've always loved to journal, since I was a kid. And so I decided to write a book. And I was thinking like, oh, nobody's gonna, want to read this book, blah, blah, blah. And I had like 70 sales like within the first 2 hours of the book. So I was really blown away.
Yes, no, that's great. The first 2 hours, that's amazing. But I
Yeah.
wanted to take a step back because I love your story, and I've also gone to Coda group before too, and I first started on my healing from codependency myself. So I've definitely been in those Coda groups, and I totally get it. But for the people who are listening who may not know the signs of codependency, what does it look and feel like to be a codependent? Because just like you, I didn't even know what codependency was. I didn't know that I had it, or rather not have it. I didn't know that that's how I had been conditioned to be. But once I went to therapy as well and started to really like reflect on myself, I started seeing the same exact patterns. So do you want to share with us, what does codependency look like and how can it show up in your life?
Yeah, so codependency, like in a nutshell, it's a cluster of behavior patterns that are all around focusing on someone else. is people pleasing, minimizing our own feelings, our own needs, occasionally being controlling, and just overall that sense of when someone else does something, then we can live, or then we can focus on us. Um, it's a lifestyle completely centered around taking care of other people, whether that be like emotionally, or physically, us relying on, almost like relying on that ability to be able to care for someone so that we can feel loved and supported and validated. And it's completely untrue, because we know that we deserve love regardless of what we do for other people. Um, and so with the codependency, generally codependents fall in a few categories. Either they were raised by a parent who struggled with mental health disabilities, um, physical disabilities, struggle with drugs and alcohol, or just overall a parent that was unable to self-regulate themselves. Therefore, they were not in tune with their child or had the ability to regulate them. And from that, what happens is, in order for the child to learn how to survive, they start to adapt to the parents' needs, and they become hypervigilant of their surroundings, hypervigilant of body movements and eye gestures and everything, to try to figure out what's going on with the parent so that they can get their basic needs met. And if that is never resolved, within the child, if they're never told, that they don't have to do this, they can focus on them, it just kind of grows into these behavior patterns that now teach us, in order to be in relationships with people, we have to give and we have to prioritize them and their needs so that they see us. Um, and it's a cycle, that just continues throughout our life until we notice it and decide to shift it.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, codependency really was just not having myself at my own center.
Yeah.
Everybody else was the center of my world, whether it was my mother or, the boss or the boyfriend or the friend or whatever. I wasn't the center of my life. I would look to what I could do for them, who I could be for them in order to get my value or my worth.
Right.
If they love me, then I'm lovable. If they choose me, then I'm a priority. If they're proud of me, then I'm good enough. And just like you said, it does start in childhood because, as codependents, usually, again, we're not taught that ourself is our center. So we look out to other people, and then we're looking to our parents, who are supposed to be the people that are supposed to literally keep us alive. So it's that primal fear of, if I don't take care of this person that's supposed to keep me alive, then I will die. It's literally survival. So we look to our parents in order to keep them safe, in order to keep them happy, in order to keep them okay, because by keeping them okay, we're keeping our own selves alive. And that's why it's called, like, you're in survival mode, because that's really what it is. But when you learn that as a child, that's how you learn how to survive. But then those same things that you got conditioned to be like as a child, denying your own wants, denying your own needs, looking to everybody outside of you to define your value and your worth. And then you get the whole abandonment wound there, right? If I'm not this for this person, they will leave me, right? That's where that people pleasing comes in. And then, but then when you become an adult, what you learned as a child to survive now is what is actually sabotaging you. So you went from survival mode to self-sabotage mode, which is why being codependent and people pleasing and not having boundaries, everything that you thought as a child was keeping you safe, now as an adult is actually sabotaging you. Because to be a healthy and healed, functioning adult, you need to say no. You need to have boundaries. You need to have yourself be your own center. And so for me, that was really the unlearning of everything I learned how to survive as a child. I had to unlearn and then reparent myself in order to be a healthy, whole, evolved, functioning adult, which, in the beautiful world, just world, I would have learned all of that as a child.
Right, right. And me too, right? Many of us.
Many
Right.
of us. Yeah,
Yeah.
so many of us. And then you talked about how you're a writer. And I think that's so true. I think a lot of people who become codependent are very empathic and very creative. And they always talk about, the relationship between, empaths and narcissists. It's almost like the codependent person and their kind of narcissistic person that either they grew up with or they attract. So did you find any of that in your life or with the people that you coach, that they're very empathic and they tend to attract a more narcissistic person until they're able to heal and create boundaries and sort of stop that pattern?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I've I've probably been in relationships with most of my relationships where with narcissistic men.
Mhm.
The last one was narcissistic. And I see it a lot, in the clients, that I work with. And it's really because people always ask me, how does it happen? Why does it happen? What am I doing wrong? And we're not necessarily doing anything wrong. Candy is more so of it feels like an instant attraction because until we have healed, we are like walking resources of love, support, guidance, affirmations, and all these things to other people, right? And so it's like the narcissist is someone who is lacking in that area. They're seeking that out. They're seeking to hear that, they are amazing and
Mhm.
they're seeking those things out, and generally they have a list of needs that they want us to help them do. And so we feel like we're being supportive, we're playing our role, the narcissist is playing their role of asking for everything that they need, and shifting us in ways that feel good for them so that we can continue to support them. And it feels like this awesome dance, like almost like you're on a cloud, like
Mhm.
especially if it's a covert narcissist, because they have the ability to camouflage into anything that you want them to be. You know, they have a way of pouring into you so that you trust them very early on. And then we give them all this information about who hurt us, how they hurt us, what happened, and all these things, because we think that they're a sincere person. And most of us, our parents or caregivers, no one was asking us how your day was, how are you doing, all those questions. And so when someone comes along doing that, we just automatically just become almost like in awe. And they use all that information to create the person that they think you want so
Mhm.
that you fall in love with them. And after they know that they have you, that's when the real person comes out. And it's almost like a living nightmare that you're that that you're in. And if you're not careful, you will constantly be trying to figure out how can you get this, what can you do to make this person the person that you originally met, not knowing that the person we originally met was never the real person.
Yeah, and I think that's why at least for me, that's why I think, healing ourselves and working on our own wounds and our own codependency is so important, because once I got like really self-aware and just like really like checking myself, but in a compassionate way, in a conversation that I would have with like my therapist and stuff, codependents and narcissists are pretty much like this two sides of the same exact coin,
Yeah.
because because we're both dysfunctional. Like being both of those things is unhealthy and dysfunctional. And we're actually both using each other. It's just that the codependent gets their value from what they give, and the narcissists get their value from what they take, when the healthy person gets their value from themselves.
Exactly.
So it's like we're using each other, really, because if you're being a codependent person, it's not healthy thinking, I'm going to get my value, I'm going to feel good about me by fixing this person, by helping this person, by doing whatever it is, by giving,
Right.
but the healthy person says, who I am is enough. And it's getting that interdependent relationship, not the I give, therefore I'm valuable, but I give and I take. I give and I take, I give and I take. And then you guys are both working in that interdependent, harmonious relationship. So it's really like being on like two sides of the same coin. But when you start to see, why can't I say no? Why do I overgive? Why do I overshare? Why do I do blah, 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 blah? And usually it's just that core wound of like, I don't matter.
Right.
It's that
Yeah.
core wound of feeling like I'm not enough. How I feel doesn't matter. What I want doesn't matter. And we kind of, like we're talking about before, like the childhood um, coping mechanisms. For me, I learned to like deny my feelings. So if I deny my wants and needs, that's easier to pretend to be in denial that I don't have any than it is to actually process through the fact that I may not get them met.
Right.
Because
That's right.
that's a scarier place to be. I have these wants and needs, but the reality of the situation is they're not getting met.
Right.
And especially as like little kids, that's so much for our little brains and our little hearts and our little bodies, our little souls. So instead of saying it really hurts that my emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, whatever the needs are, aren't being met by the people that are supposed to meet them. So we say instead, well, I don't have any, but you know what I can do? I can meet my mommy's needs. I can meet my daddy's needs. I can meet my teacher's needs. I can meet my best friend's needs. I can meet the boyfriend's needs, right?
Right.
And then that's where we start to getting our value and our worth from. But that's why when you're in that codependent space, it's so exhausting because you're always hustling to make other people your center and your source of value and worth and lovability. And that
Right.
is so exhausting. And that's why we get resentful. It's like, I always say yes to you. I always give to you. I always give, give, give. And the one time I ask for something, you set a boundary with me. How dare you? But if we had been setting boundaries the entire time, we would not have been depleted. And there
Exactly.
wouldn't be the expectation that now you have to sort of, I'm cashing in all these chips. Or the other person is just like, well, you could have said no, I'm saying no now, whatever. And you're in your feelings and you're hurt and you're resentful and all of this stuff because you were getting your value out of being that person's yes person, that people pleasing stuff. So do you have any like examples or any parts of, your journey or your client's journey where they really were confronted with like people pleasing and resentment and how they overcame it?
Yeah. I mean, well, my personal journey, like I actually like hit rock bottom before I really was able to understand what was going on. Living a life of codependency for so long, had essentially, I went into like a deep stage of depression. Looking back, I think I always struggled with depression, even as a child. But that particular episode, I literally could not get out of the bed. And I had just turned 30. And so parts of me were like, well, maybe this is like a 30 crisis or
Right?
something, because I'm not married, I don't have kids, I'm not, I just graduated from grad school, but I'm not in the field that I thought I would be in, or the job rather I thought I would be in. But then like over time, I was like, no, something else is wrong. Because there's too many high points in my life right now for me to feel down. And so, like, through prayer, through therapy, that's when I really looked at myself and I said, okay, I've never really seen my worth
Right.
as a person, because for me, I internalized. Um, I was raised by my mom and my great aunt. My father was, uh, I saw him every summer. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I did see him, but he was not a parent that was in the home.
Right.
And I had internalized that as I'm not worthy enough to be loved and to be seen. And I had lived my life as if, I didn't have any worth, and my worth was what I could do for other people. And so I was good at it, even down to the profession I chose. As a social worker, I remember working like 10, 11-hour days, because I was like committed to my clients. I was committed to helping at my church. I was committed, to my friends. And I guess 29 years of living that way, I literally had just burned myself out.
Yep.
I just,
I
you
feel
know,
you. I trust me. I have been there. I've been with the burnout. I've been with all of that. I think we all hit those moments in our lives of rock bottom or a moment of crises. And I just want to commend you and everybody else who's listening that because I've been there too, when you meet those moments, I think that's one of the most powerful opportunities that we have in our lives. When
right,
we think that there is no way out, when we think we've hit the bottom, when we think this is it, when we've completely burned out, and instead of just accepting that, we find a way to have hope.
right,
That maybe tomorrow will be better. Maybe there is a way out of this. Maybe this isn't it. And I think that when we do hit those, darkest moments, that's kind of God or, whoever, whatever people believe in, giving us one of the greatest opportunities that we have. Because there is no type of resiliency as a human being of thinking that you really like, this is just it for me, and having it turn around,
right,
you know?
right.
And I
Wow.
forgot, I was reading, I think it was Neville Goddard. He's a philosopher that I love. And or maybe it was like Florence Scovel, one of the two. But they were talking about having faith and like what that really looks like and how you get it. And when you're in the really dark moments, faith isn't getting out of the darkness. Faith is being able to see in the darkness.
I love that.
You're in the dark, you can
Wow.
still see a way out.
Yes, I love that.
And that faith and hope is like, I may be in the dark, but I can see through this dark. So there will be a way out. I just have to keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Talk about resiliency. That's what I feel when I hear that. Like having that level of, and I think for many of us as
Mhm.
codependents and people pleasers, um, that resiliency has been what has carried us.
Yes.
And it's the same thing that can help us heal. Like I feel like for my journey, I really had to understand I'm worthy of this. And even as I walk this writer, coach, entrepreneur journey, sometimes
Mhm.
I still find myself like, should I really be doing this? Like,
Of
am
course.
I ready? Like I'm still in therapy. I still have a coach. Can I really help somebody else heal? And I have to deny that every time. Like, yes,
Mhm.
Tanesha, you can. Like,
You
you can do
absolutely
this. Right.
can.
You're
Yes, you
supposed to be
absolutely.
doing this.
And I actually it find it comforting and a good sign that you're still in therapy and you still have a coach, because we always, like, whatever we're trying to do, you still need some type of guidance, some type of
You do.
mentorship, some type of person to guide you along the way. Like even Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, that's just who popped in my head, had a coach. Even like even Beyonce has a singing coach. Do you know what I mean? She
That's
has a
right.
choreographer. So it's like even the people who are these sort of like iconic top of their game people, they still have coaches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You watch an NBA game, amazing people, NFL, singers and actors and all these people, they still have acting coaches. They have directors. They have singing coaches. They have basketball coaches, so it's like, it's a false belief that we have to be perfect in order to lead or in order to be excellent. And the truth is, we just need to embrace our humanity. And a part of being a codependent, or rather healing from codependency, is actually being able to ask for that support. Like, I used to never be able to ask for help. I was the one I'm the person you came to for support. I'm the one you came to for help. I got this. And there was always the assumption that I was good. And I wasn't. Nobody, I don't care who you are on this planet, nobody is good just by themselves. Every person deserves and is worthy of and is in need of help and support.
Right.
And so one thing I do now is, like, every morning I say, thank you, God. I'm open and ready to receive your guidance, your love, your protection, your support. And when you realize that you are worthy of, God's support, divine support, that's huge, because that's a huge part of being, having this, in my mind, I think that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And a part of that spirit, or, divinity that lives within you, is having access to God's guidance and his love and his support. But when you don't think that you're worthy of your friend helping you, or a parent helping you, or a coach helping you, then how can you think you're worthy of God helping you?
Right. That's right.
And you're missing out. You're missing out on such a massive part of support. And it's realizing you do not have to do everything on your own. No. And the more I realize that I don't have to do everything on my own, whether it's getting spiritual help from God, or whether it's getting, physical help or practical help, human help from other people, the more I realized I was worthy of that, the more I learned that the real problem was I didn't trust. I didn't trust to actually help me. Right. I didn't trust that either they really would help me, or I didn't trust that they would do it the way I wanted them to do it. Yeah. Like we said, there's also still that control factor. I can do it the best. You can do it the fastest. I can do it the most. Get out of here. Yeah. So it was learning how to, trust myself enough to have the discernment that I will choose the right people to ask for help, because everybody is not safe. You can't go to anybody or everybody for help. Absolutely the hell not. You need to know who is safe. Sometimes family is not safe. Sometimes the friends you grew up with are not safe. So you have to get that discernment to know who actually has the space, it sounds cliche, but we say it for a reason. Who is actually a safe space for me?
Yeah.
I actually bring my burdens to, what I need and what I need help with. But, you have to trust that you'll work on your discernment, knowing who is safe and who isn't. And even if, God forbid, you're a human being and you choose the wrong person to ask for help and they let you down, you'll still be okay.
Yeah, we will.
You can't trust. It doesn't mean you can't, ask for help. It just means you're a human being and you happen to ask the wrong person for help. But keep asking and keep going.
Yes, knowing that, who is meant to support us, it'll be guided to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the more you know that, the more the people that aren't actually trustworthy will fall away. And the more that the people who are trustworthy will show up for you. Like, I was dating this guy. He's a really great guy. And it was the early stages of when we were together, and I was moving, and he was like, oh, like, do you need help moving? And I was like, no, I got this. I'm fine. He was like, I know you can do it, but, like, if you just want the help, I'm here to help you. Like, not even if you need the help. It's like, he's like, if you just want it. But I had been so conditioned to, like, handle everything by myself. Actually, just wanting help hadn't even occurred to me.
Right. You
you
weren't
know?
prepared to do it
I
on
wasn't
your own.
prepared for it. And he was like, "What do you mean? Like, if you just want the help, I'm here. I'll help you. Like, whatever, it's fine, you know?" And I also think, and a part of that for me, like right now, what I'm really working on just in my own personal journey is really healing and cultivating and activating my divine feminine energy. Because
Mm.
having been codependent, I don't claim that anymore. That's in the past. But having been codependent, and it still flares up because again, I'm a human being, and sometimes patterns emerge and things happen again, and I'm just gonna give myself grace and do better next time. But I'm in my masculine a lot. Because
Yeah.
if you really think about it, being a giver, people think that is feminine, but it's not. It's actually masculine energy. I'm
Yeah.
going to do, I'm going to
Doing
give,
something.
I'm going to show, I'm going to perform, I'm going to control, I'm going to, not ask for support, doing it all. Feminine energy is actually the receiver.
Yeah.
Feminine energy is receiving. It's the receiving of it. And so I'm really working on healing that aspect of me, that like feminine energy, that divine feminine energy, and just really getting really, really comfortable with being open and ready to receive, and being soft and being vulnerable, giving up control, letting go, being in the flow. Masculine is the hustle, feminine is the flow. So I really want to be in that flow. And when you let go and you're in your flow, that's when you really receive. You receive the support, you receive the guidance, you receive the protection, you receive the love.
Yeah.
It's a false thought that it's what feminine is a giver. The masculine energy is actually what is supposed to provide and give. And
Yes.
female energy is actually the one that is supposed to hold space and receive.
A friend of mine literally just told me that that same definition that you described, like maybe just like about a month ago. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. She was like, yeah, it's like you're constantly that doing. Every time we do that, it's like it flares up all that masculine energy. I was like, wow, she's
Yeah.
so right, like, yeah. So I
Mm-hmm.
love that.
And it has nothing, and people get it so twisted. It has nothing to do with like, oh, let me put some heels and lipstick on them and my feminine energy. No, you're just in your masculine energy looking cute with some lipstick, but your energy is still doing. It has nothing to do with that. It has
It
nothing to do with
doesn't.
that. It's that energetic place, that divine place. So I've definitely been working on that a lot. And I think us talking about it's a sign for both of us to really cultivate that feminine energy. And I had something happen a couple months ago, right when I started really being aware of like, I'm gonna tap into my feminine energy and really just be open and ready to receive, and just be like a softer woman. I was at a coffee shop, and like I had started coughing a little bit, something was like tickling my throat. And this guy walked over to me and he was like, "Oh, hi." And I was like, "Hi," like complete stranger. I was like, "Oh, hi." And he's like, "Oh, you know what I mean?" And defense mode up, obvious, like, you know what I mean? Just
Like,
went
why are you
all
talking
the
to me?
way into my masculine. Why are you talking to me? All defense mode. Who are you? You know what I mean? Like, girl, can you just calm down? And so, like, you're in a coffee shop, relax. And he was like, "Oh, well, I'll get you some kombucha with like ginger in it, because you have a little cough, just to get that for you." And I was like, "No, I'm fine." Because that was my default, shutting down, saying no, being defense mode. And then I thought, well, here I am, asking God, meditating, journaling, doing affirmations about, healing my feminine energy, being open and ready to receive, really stepping into my divine feminine energy. And God is giving me this opportunity right now to receive. And what did I just do? I just shot it down. And so I said, you know what? Actually, I would love that. Thank you. And he was like, okay, cool. And he went and got me the ginger kombucha. He gave it to me. He's like, I hope you feel better. I was like, thank you so much. And it was just this beautiful, nice exchange. So in
Wow.
that moment, I was able to sit back in my divine feminine, be soft, be vulnerable, and let someone help me, do something for me, receive simply because I was existing. He didn't want anything from me. He just wanted to give to me. And when I let myself be in my healthy feminine, I let him be in his healthy masculine.
Yes.
Because his healthy masculine wanted to give to me.
Yeah. And if you would have took that over, then it would have went completely, he would have felt almost like denied,
He probably would have felt a little
rejected.
slighted, a little rejected. There might have been some ego in there. Do you know what I mean? And that also happens in relationships, right? Like with
It
the
does.
guy I was dating, he was in his healthy divine masculine, where he was just like, I am here to help you. I am here to serve you. If you need help, if you want help, I am here. But by me being like, no, I'm good, I'm denying him in his healthy masculine because I'm now stepping into his masculine.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then
And
he's
it
not
changes the
able,
roles.
and it changes the roles, it changes the dynamic. Then there's resentment, then there's ego, then there's hurt feelings, then the dynamic is different. And then you wonder why don't you ever do anything for me? Well, because when I ask you, you say no. And then that's how you get dysfunctional patterns where your partner wants to be in their healthy masculine, but you're trying to be in your masculine. And then that's when it becomes toxic.
Yeah. And then we start to blame one another, and it just gets, it loses all that feel good feelings about being in a relationship and loving and
Exactly.
supporting another person. And now
Mm-hmm.
it's all about almost like competition.
Competition and all of that. And where people also get it wrong? They also think it's like about money. Like the man has to be the breadwinner. Like in my personal opinion, I'm pretty I do, just for me personally, anybody else can live their life the way they want to live it. I do think the guy should be the breadwinner. That's just how I personally feel. But when we're talking about that stuff, it's not even about that. It's like, oh, the woman goes out and makes all the money, she wears the pants. No, it's more about appreciation of each other. Like a man could be in his healthy masculine and take care of the kids and the household, and the woman could be in her healthy feminine and actually make all the money and bring it home. It's just, what is the appreciation level?
Right.
Is that healthy? Because he could feel like I'm giving, I'm providing by what I do. But usually when there's no appreciation, then that leads to dysfunction. Because even in role reversal, where the guy is the breadwinner and goes out and provides all the money, and the woman stays home with the children and the household, when she doesn't feel appreciated, that's when things become toxic. And when he does not appreciate the value that she brings, that's when it becomes toxic. So whether it's the man or the woman, if there's not appreciation for the value that each partner brings, that's when you get the dysfunction. That's when the men are like, oh, well, you're lazy, you don't have to work, oh, you're a gold digger. It's like, no, none of that. She's making a wonderful home for you. She's raising the children, she's providing for you. That is also valuable, if not more valuable than this little money you go out and make.
Right.
Anybody can make money, but who can make you a home?
Right.
So it's when either partner diminishes or dismisses the value that the other person brings, that's when it becomes dysfunctional.
Exactly.
Because a guy could be in his healthy masculine, taking care of the kids in the house, as long as the respect and the appreciation is there. That's what really matters. Because even sometimes when the guy is out there making the money and he comes home and she's like, well, you're never home, you're not this. And he's like, well, I'm out there trying to make money for all of us. Even though he's providing, he's not being appreciated. And then
Right.
you're going to have problems. So it's
Yeah.
really just about knowing, this is the value I bring to this relationship, and this is the value you bring to the relationship. And we equally appreciate and honor each other for the value that we both bring.
I love that. And it's, I mean, and it's valid, like, Yeah, I don't even have anything to add to it. Like Candy, I think the way that you
Right.
described it was just beautiful and amazing, you know?
Yes, it is. It's the best. Ooh, okay. So I have our 5 soft life questions for you. This is a new segment I've started doing. I've done it with the last about 4 or 5 guests that I've had on. So it's the new segment. Are you ready?
I am.
All right. So these are the soft life questions. The first one is, what is one thing that you would tell your younger self?
One thing I would tell my younger self is to focus on herself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would tell her just to straight from college, just live the life you want to live. Um, don't feel like you have to minimize yourself or take care of other people. Just continue on the path of life feels good and I'm gonna go with it no matter what, and don't worry about what other people say.
Damn straight. That's something I always say to my younger self. Stop dimming your light.
Mm-hmm.
Stop dimming your shine. Let them burn. Let them burn.
That's right. Let them burn
Let
bright.
them burn. All right. Our question number 2. What is your definition of God?
um I mean, God is my definition of God is
Mm-hmm.
he's my everything. My father, my savior. He's the reason why I'm here. Um, he's the reason why I even inspired to do the work that I want to do, because I know that that's the purpose and call that he has over my life, and my job is to be obedient to that, knowing that that obedience one day is going to allow me to see his face. That's
Yes.
what I desire.
Yes. Yes. We feel his presence now, and one day we'll see the face.
Yes.
Our third question is, how do you self soothe?
I used to eat,
Mm-hmm.
but I recently stopped doing that. It's only been like about a month. Seriously, like I
Mm-hmm.
go through my phases, but now my new self-soothe method is like I love to like do breathing work.
Nice.
And so I just take deep breaths throughout the day. Sometimes I even like count so that I can really be mindful of, because it's so easy to go, okay. To be
Start
sure.
hyperventilating.
Yes, like take a really big deep breath, blow out, the stress that you're feeling, and because I'm trying to find ways to tap into what's really bothering me, you
Right.
know. And I know that if I take that deep breath, I'm going to get out of the back of my head and come to the front
Mm-hmm.
where I can think. And so that's been like my new self soothe. Although I still love my Ben and Jerry, but I've been working hard to let that go.
Nice. Yeah, every once in a while is cool. Every once in a while is cool.
For me, it was every day. It was, yeah, we had a scheduled appointment
Nuh-uh, no, 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 no. That's
three,
right.
four
Well,
times a week.
I'm happy you're doing the breath work because to me it sounds like you self-soothe through clarity.
Yes.
Like, and you use it like, what is really bothering me? And then you use the breath work to get clear on that. And then through clarity, you can soothe and calm down and then actually address what the real problem is rather than numbing through the Ben and Jerry's or whatever it is. You're truly addressing what the actual issue is.
Right. That's
I
right.
love that. That's very powerful. I think I numb
Just
myself
started it. So.
being busy. Right. Our number 4 question is, what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh wow, that's a really good one.
Wow.
Wow. Um, believe it or not, I want my legacy to be my writing.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I want because I'm 39, and the reality is, even I know I'm going to get married, but
Yes.
even when I get married, I'm not sure if I will ever have my own biological children.
Girl,
You
you better switch
know,
up that self-limiting belief and be like, I'm getting married and I'm having my own children. I decided, period, point blank.
well, let me rephrase. I don't
Okay.
know if I want my own
Oh,
biological
got
children.
it. Got it. Okay. Okay.
Uh, because I've waited for this person for so long, and I've blocked myself from being loved because I didn't feel lovable. And so I'm just like, I don't know if I want to share him with anybody.
You know,
Like
do
his
you?
kids will come over, and I'll get an opportunity to be like stepmom, and then they'll go
Mhm.
to their mom, and then I have my husband again.
There you
I
go.
kind of like that narrative for myself,
Do it. Yeah.
but anyway, no, that's one of the reasons why I say, um, my writing. I want my books to be my legacy, because I feel like books are amazing. Like, they're here. As long as this earth is here, everything that we write, and now everything I can imagine that we put on the internet,
Hmm.
is here. It's like our diary to people who are coming on before us with some of these same situations. Is like, now they can, like, look up your podcast or my books, and
Hmm.
they can continue to get support and guidance, even though we're not physically here anymore. And I just think that's beautiful. Like, every time I think about it, um, I literally just started reading
Hmm.
All About Love by Bell Hooks when she passed away.
Oh, wow.
I had never read it. I had never even heard of her, like, as an author. Like, I went on a mission to learn, to try to, like, research more Black authors and writers, and I came across her. And I was like, oh my God, she's amazing. Like, let me look her up. And when I looked her up, she had passed away. And I was like, oh my God. But how beautiful it is that now I'm reading her book and
Yep.
being inspired about it, and she's not here anymore.
Hmm. I love it. And
Yeah.
our last soft life question is, who are you?
I'm still finding that out every day.
Hmm.
But I think today I am a woman who knows what's important to her and the direction that she wants to go. And also a woman that's just learning and growing, to understand her own needs more. And I'm a woman that's on a mission to seek out joy and love within myself every day, and find ways to take care of myself every day, um, and live beyond the codependency.
I love that. And you are. And you are. And you're doing all of it. You're writing, you're living beyond
Yeah.
the codependency, you're helping people, you're inspiring people. You're doing it. You are living the version of you that you've called in to be.
Yes, that is true. That
You
is true. I
you
didn't
have
think
a lot,
about
you
that.
got a lot to be proud of. You got a lot to be proud of. And it's funny because I had that same realization where I was like, I sort of like stopped and I looked around at my life and I was like, wait a minute. You know, my life is what I've asked for it to be.
Yeah.
Of course, there's still things that I want, X, Y, Z, this, that, and the third. But I just sort of looked around and I was just like, my life is what I've called it to be. And now I
Mhm.
just need to get into that appreciation mode. Like one thing I've always said is like, God, let my life be easy, let it be clear, let it be easy, like let it be smooth, let it flow. Like I just want a very easy life, very easy life. And then I looked around and I was just like, my life is pretty easy. I've got
Mhm.
it pretty good. Let me now appreciate this.
Yes, you
Because
are that girl,
we,
Candy.
right? Like sometimes it's like you get caught up in the prayer and you get caught up in the asking that you miss that you received it.
You really do. Yeah, you forget to look around and acknowledge the work that we've done.
Right. And then I looked and I was like, you know what? I'm healed. I'm strong. I'm confident. My life is easy. I do podcasts. I'm doing YouTube. I'm hanging out. I live in Palm Desert now. Like, there's palm trees. Like, I'm drinking my iced coffee. Like, girl, your life is fine. Like, it's good. It's fine. But I
Yeah,
had to, like I said earlier, I had to check myself in a compassionate, loving way and be like, now is the time to be in the present moment and to be grateful.
right.
You know? Because just like you, if you're in the present moment, you're living that life that you've asked for.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, it's time for us to own it and
Mhm.
know that we've earned this. You know, this was always, you know, I'll try to tell myself this was always where you were supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's even deeper than earning it because it's like we deserve it.
Right. Right.
We deserve it. Just because we are here, just because we're born, just because God breathed breath into us, we deserve it. That's our intrinsic value. And the funny part is when I stopped trying to be worthy of it and knew that I was deserving of it, that's when it came. That's when it flowed in. Because I'm like, I'm burnt out, I'm exhausted, I've been doing the absolute most. Well, maybe it's time for me just to sit down and, and realize my intrinsic value, ask God for help, let it go, and receive. It's
Yeah.
like full circle of everything we've been talking about. The codependent mind says, I have to do in order to deserve and be worthy. Healed mind says, simply because I'm here, I am enough and I am worthy.
Right.
I don't have to prove my lovability to anybody. I don't have to prove my value to anybody. Simply because I exist, I am enough.
Right. That's
We,
right.
doesn't mean we're still not going to, go to school or, learn and get coached. And, of course, we're still going to do stuff. We're alive. We have to still do stuff. But it's the intentionality of the doing. Am I doing this in order to be good enough? Or do I know that I'm good enough and I'm just doing it because I want to?
Right.
Because I want to.
Two different things.
Like, when I get the ring, that will be the symbol or the moment that I know I'm worthy of love because someone chose me. Or do I know that I'm worthy of love, therefore I deserve
Right. Deserve the
the
ring.
ring and this, that, and the ring
Yeah.
doesn't make me deserving. I am deserving of the ring.
All by ourselves.
All by ourselves. All by ourselves. That's why you look at some people's lives and they're just like, and you're like, wow, that person just has everything and they get everything. And they sort of have this mentality of like, yeah, well, because I deserve it. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
They have the mentality of like, yeah, I deserve it. Whether or not they're working hard or sweating and bending over and people please and blah, blah, blah. They're just like, yeah, I deserve this.
Yeah. They're
And
like, this is mine.
that's the vibe. That's the mindset we got to be in. I deserve this. I am here. I don't have to do anything or be anything. I exist and I'm worthy and I'm enough.
Right. Ooh. Wow.
Yep.
So
Woo!
many virtual hugs and claps I have for you.
For you too. Yes. Because it's true. We are enough. We're more than enough. As is.
Yes. As is.
Is. And if you ever forget it, one thing I do is I find examples of people who have my exact circumstance that I falsely believe is why I'm not enough for something. Who gets it? It's like, oh, when I'm too poor to have this. I'm too black to have this. I'm too short to have this. I'm too white to have that. I'm too fat. I'm too thin, or whatever it is. We'll find someone in the world who has whatever you think it is about you that's not enough, who has exactly what you want.
Right.
Because there's a lot of poor people who became very, very rich. There's a lot of people who aren't conventionally cute or whatever you want to call it, who are happily married. You know what I mean? So it's like all of that crap that we think makes us non-deserving simply isn't true.
Yeah, it's not real.
It's not real. It's an illusion. It's not real.
Yeah.
This has been awesome.
Yes, it has. I've truly enjoyed this conversation.
Me
Even
too.
got some nuggets myself.
Me too. Me too. I feel like this has been such a good, healing, inspiring conversation. I appreciate you so much for coming, sharing your story, sharing your guidance. So I will have everything linked down below in the description box in the show notes. But do you want to leave us with two things? One, your last word of wisdom. If we were going to get anything out of the time together, what's one thing you want us to leave with? And two, where can we find you? Where can we get your books, get your coaching, and just connect with you?
Yeah, so one thing that I would leave is something that I literally, during my days of recovery, I literally look myself in the mirror every single day at one point, and I said, Taneshiya, no one is more important than you.
Yes.
And if I could leave anything, that's what I would leave. It's even if you're a mother, you're a wife, you're a significant other, whatever your title, is, in order for you to truly support someone else, it's essential that you support yourself first.
Yes.
No one is ever more important than us. So I just want everybody to remember that. And you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all under TJ Self Care. And then if you go to my website, tjselfcare.com, I have a free link, free guide, I should say, 5 ways to end people pleasing that I always encourage people to get. Of course, I have my book, When Depression and Anxiety Have a Voice. I do have my podcast, Heal, Pray, Grow podcast, where I drop gems about living a life free of codependency every episode.
Yes.
And then I also have my coaching program that I encourage people to look at if they want one-on-one support.
Perfect. And everything will be linked down below in the show notes and the description box. So Taneshiya, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. And everybody who will be watching and listening, as always, if you found this of value, be sure to subscribe, like, rate, and review, and share this with a friend, because your journey to self-love is always better with a little bit of support. Check out everything linked down below. You can join our Patreon, grab a course, grab the self-love journal, and then get our newsletter. It's free, and you get a free self-love guide. So with that, everyone, as always, take care of yourself and each other. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome to The Soft Life with me, Candy Washington, where we explore all things self-love, manifestations, and relationships with a cheeky dash of pop culture news. So be sure to subscribe, share, and join us on Patreon.